Yeah. What's really happening? Y'all know what it is, man. Story time. Back in the days, 1989, 90, me on 15 Ave. I'm gonna give you some of the book, like I always tell y'all, I'm not gonna give you the whole story, but I'm gonna let you know why I left the Ab and went on to do other things. I know last time I spoke about the Ab in the comments, everybody, not everybody, a few people was like, I forgot a lot of names. I'm gonna name some of those players, that I forgot to mention last go round. So y'all come on with me. Let's enjoy the read, man. I hope y'all hit the subscribe button and continue to support the page, man. Miami, let's stand up. Old Miami right here. During this time in my life, I was really coming of age. I was about to turn 15 at the end of the year. A lot could happen in a few months in the streets. The fast life of a young hustler. I would learn firsthand as my life was making a turn for the worse. Yeah, I was getting money for a young nigga, but being in the streets and seeing the things I was seeing unfold in the crack era, the game was changing. It was more and more young niggas playing in the game. In school, I was used to standing out because of the game. I had, hollering at females and my style of dressing. I say, but in the streets, it was different. On the Ab, nobody cared about how fly you dressed or your style. It was all about money, power, and respect. And it was only mainly two ways that you could gain this power and respect. Through violence or hustling. Early on, I saw how dudes sought to be either most violent nigga in the streets or the nigga with the most money. To most, it was easy to be violent. That made a nigga respect you. If a nigga knew you was quick to do something to him, or even, pop him or put him under, they will give you the utmost respect. Once you had that respect in the streets, if you were smart enough, the money would follow in most cases. That is, if you don't get locked up or put under yourself, right? With all these cutthroats and killers and dope dealers making up the immediate world I lived in, I guess you could say I was a product of my environment. As I began to hang out more on the Ab instead of school, it became more and more of making a name in the streets to me. More important to make a name in the streets for me. So instead of trying to be a gigolo, that's what they used to call me in high school and school, right? So this is one of the first, I'm gonna show you why I changed my name from gigolo and why I just went to start calling myself Jig, right? Now I wanted to be a gangster. A young gangster nigga in the streets with respect on my name. But what I didn't quite understand was a lot of the young niggas that I was running had the same idea and was coming up in the game just like me. A lot of them dudes, we crossed paths, you know what I mean? Some would be cool and someone would be envious and someone would be enemies. That's just how it played out in the streets. It's funny now that I think back on a lot of those because we were so young and playing in a grown man game, we all call ourselves lil. Lil this or lil that. I'm going to break it off to you, give you a few examples. Like Lil Bo, Lil Willie, Lil Sid, Lil Fred, Lil Bert, and myself, Lil G. You know what I'm saying? Then you had different, like Lil Bull, Lil Baby, whatever, as a young cat, people called you Lil, because we were a bunch of little cats running around in a big man game playing, life and death. It was serious out there. You know what I mean? It wasn't nothing to see a real hitter ride on the handlebars. You know what I mean? You never know how it go down. You know what I mean? So sizing somebody up, you never know who was going to end up doing it. And a lot of us young niggas really was getting to it, man, active. We was making names for ourselves back then. I stopped introducing myself as Gigolo because it didn't fit no more. I was all about getting respect in the streets. So I called myself Jig for short. I like all the other young niggas that was in the streets. The lure was added. Just explained that to y'all. I went from sugar to shit real fast. My homie Jock got out of jail. And what I mean by that there, I had got another little position because one of my homeboys, Jock, had went to jail. And I had started serving a little bit for Star Boulders. Shout out to my homeboy Jit and Super Hen right there on the corner of Sugar Hill. They gave me a little position. I moved up from watch out to start serving the bomb. It was a little short period of time while Jock was in jail. But when Jock got out, you know what I mean, I lost that little position, right? Of course, it was for him. But his return marked the stop for me serving Star Boulders because he got his job back. Now I was left with barely holding on to just the watch out spot that I had for peeping. Things was hitting up for me. Things were hitting up for me. The world was out about the blue dot dime being worked into the bomb. That's a part of the story that I didn't share with y'all. It's in the book. But we was, all us that were working for peeping, not all of us, but a couple of us, you know, we had a little hustle that we would do. We would go into the poker beans and buy us a bunch of blue dot dimes. They look just like the peeping 20s that we sold in the spot. I could talk about it now, you know what I mean? You know, I'm grown, but back then that was a violation. You know what I mean? So what we would do was move the blue dot off the package and put some people stickers on there, and we'll catch our people coming through, you know, the ones that were really green and couldn't tell the difference between a dime. You know, they looked the same, but it wasn't the same quantity of work. That blue dot was like shaked up, you know what I mean? It wasn't good for them nose candy type people, you know what I mean? So I'm trying to keep it light for the internet, but y'all know what I mean. So that was one of the ways that we were playing too. So that kind of word got out. We was doing it. We had to be careful because word get back to the team. That was a violation, and you're going to find out what happened to violations on 15th back in the days, right? I'm going to share it with you, right? So, it was just me who was short. It wasn't just me who was short stopping. Just about everybody around the corner was doing the flip the game on the peeping sack. I got so bad that the head nigga world had to put word out to the niggas in the poker beans that if any of his workers went through there to cop blue dot, to let him know. That didn't stop us because all we did was have somebody else grab for us. For real, I was about tired of working for a nigga anyway. One night, when I was working with the homie Jabo, shout out to Jabo, man. You did me dirty this night, though, but I got to tell a story. Jabo, I introduced that. I noticed that he was hitting the bomb pretty hard. What I mean by that is he was getting on the books he was getting on the books. I would look down, I was on one end watching out, looking down at Jabo. He's down at the spot. Every time I look out, Jabo busting another sack, you know, feeding his nose. Feeding his nose. I'm like, damn, Jabo, who paying for that? That's what I'm thinking in my head. I'll find out later on, but let me get to that part of the story. I don't want to keep spoiling it for y'all. So, at first, I didn't think much of it, and everybody hit the books for, you know, advancements on their pay. And what that means is, you know, we working for the shift, but we could get on the books. You ain't bring enough money or you ain't got enough money, you could get an advancement on your pay, and, you know what I mean, while you working the shift. You know, sometimes you need that, get something to eat. You know what I mean? If you smoke weed or whatever, you know, you do your thing. So, listen. I didn't make it a habit because I wasn't making enough to go on the books. Jabo didn't care one way or another. He was busting halves like Tic Tacs. Like a Tic Tac you pop in your mouth. He busting halves every time I look down now. I said, damn, Jabo, who that one was on? He just would laugh and say, this one on World, right? That's when I started to think that something wasn't right. My gut feeling was right because around 2 a.m., Jabo called me down to the hole in aka the spot. He put me up on his plan. He knew that for it to have a chance to work, he would need me to be down with it. The plan was to say that 9, Bo Brown, or 12, like y'all like to call them, rushed the spot, and we had to run, and they got the bomb, which is the package on the block. It would have about all the moves, but I say we had to understand there's about a lot of moving pieces of parts on a drug hole, right? There was people in play that you may not even know existed. They may be in plain sight. They were the eyes and ears for the boss man World. That crazy part about it is we knew all of them and who they were. One of World's snitches was this crackhead named Cheetah. Rest in peace, man. Cheetah on the app, man. Y'all, if you read off the app, you know who Cheetah is, right? He mostly cleaned up the spot, sweeping the store up and cleaning out the all the dope rappers and paraphernalia shit like that. On this night, Cheetah tried to clean up early so he could get his $5 pay to get high. Well, Jabo didn't pay Cheetah. So the smoker sat across the street and looked at Jabo for the rest of the night. So let me try to clarify what happened. Jabo had a plan for me to be his co-defendant in saying that the police came off my end, they rushed the spot, they got the bomb, and you know what I mean, we had to leave and the police got the bomb. But like I was saying, there's a lot of pieces and a lot of people play in the spot. And this one particular dude is Cheetah. Cheetah sat across the street, right across the street. Our spot was at right on 7-0 in front of the Miss Jackie's store. Well, Cheetah sat across the street, right across the street on 6-9 in front of Miss Rosalie's store and watched us the rest of the night because he didn't get paid his little money. We forgot about him while we were setting up the stage to make it look like Jump Out Boys or AKA 9 had rushed. We turned over rocks, pushed over the garbage can, made it look like a scene, a crime scene or a rush scene. Jabo convinced me to go along with him because he was going to bust down the bomb and what little money we made for the night. The bomb was peeping 20s, was made up of 25 20s, which made up $500. Jabo had 2 bombs out on the block, so we would bust down a half of the money and half of the sack. The second part of the plan was to meet back up on the app the next morning so we could tell our story. Well, I kept it real and showed up because I didn't feel worried nobody was being mad at me because of losing the bomb, because I wasn't nothing but the watch out. But I was in for a rude awakening. When I walked up on the app the next morning, the whole team was up there waiting on me. It kind of reminded me of the scene from New Jack City where Nino Brown was confronting his crew after a raid on the Carter. It was world little brother D, Daryl Cash, who had a Rottweiler with him. He used to keep his Rottweiler with him and shit like Nino Brown. I knew D. He drove a hooked up Cherokee back then. Our lieutenant over the spot was by his side. His name was Speedy out the poker bean. Shout out to Speedy, man. This other nigga was riding the wave. His name was Nayron. A lot of y'all off the app know who Nayron is, man. He one of the players. He ended up working for Murph back in the days after he came off this end. But Nayron was up there with him too. There was another fat nigga that I never seen before. I can tell they had been talking about me because soon as I walked up, it got quiet. The first ones to say anything was Speedy. He said, "There go Lil Jig right there." Hearing my name made me know shit was real. I stepped right up and said, "What's up, my nigga?" That's when D said, "I don't know. I'm waiting on you to tell me." It was no sense of playing around. I knew what he meant. They wanted to know why nobody was up here serving the work. Where was the dope was. So I gave them exactly the way that me and Jabo planned it. I could tell they wasn't buying it, and it seemed like they already had knew what I was going to say. The look Speedy was giving me should have warned me. See, Speedy was cool out of everybody. Speedy really rocked with me, but there was nothing he could do for me. If I was a dirty nigga, I should have just changed the story and looked out for myself, because for one, where was Jabo? So I'm gonna stop right there and just fill it on in for time purposes, right? So what ended up happening is, man, they didn't take the story, they didn't buy the story, because like I said, Cheetah filled them in and told them, his version of what happened and how we staged the situation. So I was just sitting there lying to their face, and it didn't fly well. And I end up getting into it. Nayron and the fat dude end up jumping me, and I stood my little ground for whatever. But what can I do with 2 grown men? I'm still a teenager. I wasn't that big. They ain't really do no hell of a damage. I still got away with some of the money and some of the work with me and Jabo. But that was my end of my career on the app, man. But before I go, I'm going to shout out some of the major players back then. I'm going to go from 7-1 to 6-4. Shout out to, like I said, man, rest in peace to Jen, to Jit, Hen, know what I mean? Shout out to them alley boys in the alley right back there, man, with that justice. Shout out to Slope, know what I mean? Cathead and Nene. Shout out to Fat Tony and Lil Cab. Shout out to Deputy Dog. Shout out to Miss Rosalie Stowe, I just named. Shout out to Miss Jackie Stowe. Shout out to, let me keep going. Shout out to Clint and all them on 6-8. It won't be right if I didn't shout out, know what I mean, to Uncle Al, man, in the fuck shop right there on 6-8 in the cut, right? So we gonna go on down, man. Shout out to Miss Mamie, know what I'm saying, with Flip Flop over there on 6-8 in the cut. Shout out to, you know, go on down a little further, like I named on the last show, man. Shout out to the boys that rent Club Bag right there in front of Trina Mama Beauty Salon. Then we gonna get on down to the Gusto, man. Shout out to Big Merv, Slope. Shout out to Lil M. Shout out to Yamis. Shout out to Chop, Baylard, Block. You know what I mean? Shout out to Speedy. Shout out to you know, won't be right if I didn't say anything about Lemon Lime and PE, you know what I mean? Shout out to Goombay. It's just there it is, man. I name, you know, just coming out the top of the dome, man. You know, some of the major players up and down the air, man. Law Dog, you know, just a lot of the little cats, man. I'd be here all day if I try to name everybody, man. But you know what it is, man. The OG, I really was there, man. I really lived it, man. 15 Ab legend right here, man. Y'all tap in, man. I got more stories. I'll be talking about the splash down. I'm gonna be talking about, you know, everything that made up the Miami culture, man. I'm gonna be going to the Goombay. We're gonna go over town with it. We're gonna go, you know what I mean, the Poker Bean. I'm gonna go down south with it. I'm just gonna let you know, man. It ain't too many people that was active out there in the streets. Don't know me and I don't know them, man. This your boy OG Gigavelli. Make sure y'all subscribe, like, and share the content, man. And make sure y'all tap in, man, for the full story, man. Support the movement, support the page. Get the book Pressure, man. Hit the link tree in the bio. It's gonna send you to my Amazon, man. Y'all tap in. Miami, boy, it's all love.